the presentation itself, and you did a wonderful job. You did a wonderful job to that topic. So I really appreciate that. So
Asante. Thank you.
Can I start now?
Yes, you can.
Awesome. So that is me, and Elvis has done justice to introduce me. And yes, I run a consultancy called Mind Healer, and I deal with being a psychologist and also mindset coaching. So, and today we are going to dive in mental health issues and look at mental health generally, but even more to it, what mental health is, what it's not, what we think it is, but it's not, and the myth that exists in that field, and the self-diagnosis that we do time to time. We call ourselves narcissists, we call ourselves all manner of names. And with this day and age, it looks like, you know, having a mental health issue that we are talking about sometimes, it's looking like a swag. But you agree with me that there is nothing beautiful about having mental health issue. So let me dive in by just saying, just like any other part of the body, that mental health or our mind suffers. Just like you can break your knee, your arm, your mental health can actually break. You can have meltdowns. You can have emotional issues that will affect everything in your life, including what you do on a daily basis, your job, your relationship, even your identity as a person, the relationship that you have with yourself. And some people ask, okay, someone is supposed to have a relationship with themselves. And yes, we are supposed to have a relationship with ourselves. Because as you present yourself to the world, you can only present yourself the best way you know how and the best way you relate with yourself. So self-confidence comes from the way we perceive ourselves, believe ourselves to look like or behave, or believe that we are either lacking the capabilities or having some capabilities that people emulate from us, and that gives us the value in terms of how we interact with people. So your brain can experience variation in wellness. And when we have this variation, we are talking about us being happy, sad, emotional, irritable, and all that. And we are going to dive in and look at what that is. But can I ask a question? Is there any person who can claim to be normal in this room? Is there any person who can say, myself, I am normal. I do not have any mental health issue. And you know, when I was learning this, I think it was asked in the first semester I took, and the lecturer asked, are you normal? And then all of us, of course, we said yes, but we are not. We are lacking in some spheres of life. And if we look deeply, then we are lacking in that manner if we need to really cultivate the self-awareness to know where we are lacking and how we can improve ourselves. So if I take the good Bible of psychologists called DSM-5, it's a book that is used to diagnose mental illness, then you're within this spectrum. You're from distress to having mental illness. So from healthy to severe, we are all of us within that spectrum. So then healthy is having no distress, normal functioning. But again, this person doesn't mean that they are 100% okay. Because even if you're okay, you will suffer rejection. You will suffer people talking ill of you, and you'll not smile about it. So that will send you into distress or reacting back. That's why you cannot afford to be 100% normal, what we call normal, quote unquote. Then mental distress, we are talking about having mild symptoms. And this is reversible, because if you're angry because of something that just happened right now before you join this session, that is a mild issue. You will recover. You're just angry about it and you'll just recover. Then we go to another step of now having a mental health problem where you're either getting panic attack, or you're anxious. Yeah, you're having symptoms of depression. And we will look at, when we say we are depressed, what we actually mean. And possibly you will stop using that word or continue using it, depending on where you are. Then the last stage is mental illness. This is severe. We talk of schizophrenia, and schizophrenia is someone who is using the five senses, be it odor, hearing sounds, be it seeing things that are not there, be it smelling things that are not there, or tasting things that are not there. Those are the people who are missing one important factor: being in tune with the real world. So, we talk about schizophrenia, bipolar disorders, being psychotic, and psychotic means that you have completely lost touch. You cannot tell anyone who you are, or what you do, where you come from, or probably even your name. So, and then this happens in real life. If you walk into Madari or any other hospital within Nairobi and beyond that takes care of patients of mental wellness, and I have been there many times, you'll see these people, and these people are like you and me. And we will see some of the things that might have led those people there. So, what is mental health? This is, we define it as a state of well-being in which individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with normal stress of life, can work productively, and is able to make contribution to his or her community. That you can realize your own abilities. Elvis was talking about a good program that he has been learning. You can only join that if you realize the abilities you have, or the abilities that you want to acquire. So you can only be mental healthy to notice here is an opportunity, and I need to utilize that particular opportunity. Cope with normal stressors of life. That you will not lack your sleep, or lack your appetite, or not be able to enjoy your day because things are happening, because other people are not respecting you. You're able to cope with that, and can work productively even with normal stressors of life. You can be able to be productive in your own way and contribute to your community. So when you lose the mental health, it affects how we feel first, the feeling. Then it affects how we act, because our actions are dictated by our emotions and our feelings. So that's how losing mental health then affects your feeling. It affects how you act. It affects how you handle stress. You lose it. You rush at people. You are irritable. You're just waiting for people to do just a slight thing, and you do what we say. You will give them a piece of your mind. So that's what we do most of the time when we are quite irritable. And it affects how we relate with others and even ourselves, and how we make choices. And that's why people are told every now and then, do not make choices when you're sad or when you're angry about something. Why? because the choices you'll probably make will not serve you or any other person in your life. So what then is mental illness? And Elvis had tackled this. It's mental illness are health condition. Illnesses are health condition involving change of emotion, thinking, behavior, and there is a pattern to it. It all starts with emotions, and I will explain why it has to go through those very later on. So it affects your emotion, thinking, and behavior. And mental illnesses can be associated with distress and stroke problem functioning in social, work, and family. So it affects all spheres of our lives. You do not get to choose where your mental health will affect you and say, it will only affect me in my job. No. If you're affected in your job and you're not happy about what you're doing, or your boss is on your neck, or even your colleague, then it affects every other sphere in your life. You do not have the control of saying, this is the only place that my mental health will affect me. So what are the red flags that someone has lost their mental wellness or their mental health? When you come to therapy, or when you go to therapy, we normally ask two basic questions, even before we start questioning you about any other thing. Number one is, are you sleeping enough? Why is sleep important to the mind? Sleep is as important as oil that we put in a car for the engine so that it can run smoothly. So without sleep, we are not able to function in a very proper way. So sleep rejuvenates our mind. It rejuvenates us and rejuvenates our body. And normally, without sleep, actually, the first thing that will change is your emotions. And the second thing, if you go without sleep for more than 2 or 3 days, you will start seeing things that are not there. So why we ask people whether they are sleeping enough is to see, is their sleeping patterns within the normal rate or abnormal? And that dictates whether you will need some medication to maintain your condition or not. And the second thing is appetite. Why appetite? It's because your body cannot function without food. And one of the organs that relies heavily on what you eat is your mind. So your mind is, quote unquote, the engine to your body. It regulates and it makes other organs functions the way they function. For example, all of us here, we are not consciously controlling how we are pumping our blood to other organs. We are doing that subconsciously. Our mind is working behind the scene to make other organs work. So your mind relies heavily on what you eat. So without eating, then your mental wellness is actually highly at risk. So then other things that we look at is isolation. When we are in distress, when we are not in good relationship with others and ourselves, the first thing we do is we hide because of shame, because of other things that we might not be proud looking at. We hide ourselves, we isolate, we tell ourselves a story that we do not fit in, that we are not as good as others, that we are not capable as others. So we hide ourselves under that shame and under that guilt that we have. Then we lose interest, and we lose interest in things that we know very well that we should do, things that we do on a daily basis. When you wake up, you can't draw the curtains, you can't open even the door. You just want to sleep, you just want to sit there. And some of us might be at that juncture where you have realized, I once loved coding, for example, or I once loved to do graphic design or web development, but I'm not able to do that anymore. I am not able to be productive as I used to be. I am not able to concentrate and keep my focus. Then mood swings that you're, you know, happy one moment, then sad the other. So the mood swings are shifting at a lightning speed. You shifting your mood in a very unexplainable way. So that is also another sign. Then we are looking at more frequent anxiety and depression, and we will look at what anxiety is and what depression is later. Then suicidal thoughts. And suicidal thoughts, we look at two key pillars on anyone who has suicidal thoughts. We are looking at, have you lost hope totally for tomorrow? Or do you believe that there is a better tomorrow for you? If you have lost hope, then that means you might be at the verge of attempting suicide. Then two is we are looking at, do you have a plan to either injure yourself or others? If you do you have the time and the place that you will commit that action? So if you do not have those three, the plan, the time, the place, then you might not actually do what you are claiming to try to attempt, or you're claiming to do in the near future. So these are the things that we look for suicidal thoughts. Then trouble sleeping, I have talked about it. Trouble working, that you are losing the focus and you do not have energy. Then changing eating, I have talked about a lack of self-care and hygiene, that even taking a bath has become a struggle for you. You have to be pushed to do it, or you have to drag your feet to do it. Something that you didn't think about really, now you have to think about and intentionally push yourself. So those are some of the main issues that we look at when we are talking about mental health. Then there are common disorders that we look at today, and these are mood disorders, addiction and substance abuse, personality disorders, OCD, or obsessive and compulsive disorder. And then there is eating disorders, which, now they are becoming rampant with time. As we go on, we have been seeing a surge in terms of eating disorders, personality disorders. But one of the most notorious of all disorders is mood disorders. And this is where disorders like anxiety, panic attack, and depression lies. So let's look at mood disorders. So there is anxiety on one side and there is depression on the other. And we confuse these two a lot. People talk about depression and they're talking about being sad, really, because not very good.
Godfrey,
Yes.
Godfrey, if I may cut you short,
Yeah.
like, do you have what you're talking about? Do you have a PowerPoint presentation on the same, or it's this you shared with me?
Oh, I have not been sharing my PowerPoint. I thought you can see it.
No. Me actually, the one you shared with me, I cannot actually see them, like the aspects of mood disorders.
Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I thought I shared. Just a minute.
Okay, the one. All right.
Can you see it now?
Just a moment. Let me see that.
Oh my goodness. I thought I shared.
Yeah. I think what you
now.
did, well, we can see it, but I'll still share it with the group. Huh?
Okay, yes. Please go ahead and share it even after our presentation. I am sorry for that, pardon me.
Okay.
So Let's see.
If you guys can see the PowerPoint presentation, you can give me a thumbs up. Because how can you see it now on your end? Because mimi naiona.
Good.
Very well.
Okay, moving on. Well, let me go to where I was.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So I was talking about these at least 5 notorious mental disorders. Yes, now you can see them. Now, we were talking about these 5 notorious disorders: eating disorder, mood disorder, disorders, addiction and substance abuse, personality disorders, and obsessive and compulsive disorders. Now, let's look at mood disorders. And there is anxiety and there is depression. Now, a lot of people confuse these two. And sometimes they say that they are depressed when they are just sad. So depression, let me start with depression. Depression is sadness that has lasted for at least 2 weeks. So that is how we diagnose it. It has to be a consistent thing. It's not that something that happened today in the morning and you're telling us you're depressed. No, you're not. You're just sad that something triggered you and you're not with yourself. Something is amiss. Then excessive guilt and shame, that you're feeling a lot of guiltiness because of something you did or something that someone did to you. So you're ashamed of it and you're actually isolating yourself and hiding yourself because of it. Then sense of worthlessness, that, for someone who believes in themselves, they have lost it. They now do not see the value in themselves. You are being taken advantage by others because, you cannot see your own value and you are not carrying yourself in a manner that gives other people confidence in you. Then change in appetite, which I talked about, and suicidal thoughts. So in what we called major depressive disorder, which is now where you have a loved one who is not getting out of the house for more than 3 days. You have a loved one who cannot draw the curtain, cannot cook for themselves, cannot go and take a bath, cannot even show up to work. They have been lying that they are out of town or they are sick or their loved one has left them or something. So the depression that we talk about on a daily basis sometimes is just sadness. It's not really depression. So if you're depressed, your sadness has lasted for at least 2 weeks. Then excessive guilt and shame, worthlessness, change in appetite, and suicidal thoughts to some people. But suicidal thoughts, it's just to some people, not everyone. On the other hand, we have anxiety, which is excessive worry, that you're worried, you're in a mat and you do not like crowded places. For example, you go to crowded places like in an event, and the first thing that you do is you check where the windows are and where the doors are. Why? Because you're anxious that something terrible might happen anytime. So by the time you take a seat, you have realized all the exits that are in that building. And in case of any emergency, that you will actually use one of them. So there are people who will never realize where the exits are until the end of the event. But if you are suffering from anxiety, and this is anxiety that is associated to have an element that you do not want to be around other people, or you are experiencing a symptom of panic attack when you're around people, then you will realize that when you go to a building, the first thing you look at is, where are the exits? So you're less stressed. You're always, looking around you to notice who is around me. Do they look like they can steal from me? And all that. And this happens a lot to people who either have gone through something in the recent past that will keep their mind in the defense mode always. So they are really sensitive about what they are, who is around them, where they are, the street they are passing, and all that. So then they are on edge. They are edgy. They are irritable. They are just waiting for you to do something, and off they burst at you. So then they lose focus, or they lack focus, and uncontrollable or constant fear and worry. Now, these are close brothers or cousins, if I may say. And there is one that is not here, called panic attack, where you have racing of heart, you have sweating, some people tremble, some will actually go to an extent of even losing their focus as to their environs, where they are, and all that. So that is also panic attack, and it happens a lot to ladies more than gentlemen. So for anxiety and panic attack, it's more seen with ladies than gents. And as just by the way, if you're ready and you're in this webinar, and possibly you have any signs of panic attack or anxiety, and you might be using family planning, then you need to check with your physician to make sure that you're not using hormonal family planning. Why? Because some of them have been affecting ladies in a big way, in making anxiety become, a big mountain to many ladies. So that was, by the way, and point to note for ladies. Then anxiety versus depression. These are the shared symptoms that they share together: irritability and anger. So if you're having any of these two, then you tend to experience irritability and anger, then fatigue and low energy. That again, you do not feel like going or appearing for that job. You do not feel like you'd really be able to deliver on what it is that you do on a daily basis. Then change in sleeping patterns, which I had discussed. So if you fail to seek for help and you have either depression and anxiety, this is a cycle that perhaps you might be going through. It starts with anxiety, and that is having uncontrollable feelings of worry and lack of focus. That, sometimes people are smiling out here only to go and really close themselves in bed just trying to sleep, and they cannot make themselves to go to sleep. Why? They have uncontrollable feelings. Some of them, they will break down on a daily basis. You lack focus. Though you had set goals at the beginning of the year, you're not able to commit to them because of you're not attentive to what you're doing. You're not intentional. You're not appearing whole. You're just appearing broken and empty. Then you go, when that uncontrollable feeling or worry subsides, you go to feeling of failure and lack of worth. That is now you're sinking to symptoms of depression, that you cannot see your sense of worth. You're struggling to be yourself. Then number 3 is that, again, in depression, you go to anger, irritability, and lack of energy. And when it gets to lack of energy and some bit of irritability, then you're sinking deep into depression. And then it goes back as panic attack and anxiety, and the cycle keeps repeating itself. So if you want to get yourself out of this cycle, because this cycle affects a lot of people, then seek for help. Seek for help. There are a lot of people who can support you and work with you. Then let's talk about addiction and substance abuse. And people, really don't want to listen to this specific topic because they feel it's too cliche, or if they have been using drugs, then they will close their ears from hearing. But hear me out here. So there are two types of addiction, and that is physical and chemical addiction. That involves substances like alcohol, prescription drugs, or illicit drugs. Those are, weed and every other drug in our streets and in our community. Then there is behavioral addiction that we rarely talk about, and we do not have a lot of support in Kenya specifically for this, behavioral addiction. This goes to gambling, shopping, gaming, addiction, and all that. And it has been a huge, huge issue, especially to our youth. So they happen in your mind. Any addiction stick to your mind the same way. Why? Any addiction first gives you the highness, whether it's gaming, shopping, or illicit drugs. They first give you the same kind of highness, and that's why people have been addicted to them. Then the results now start changing, because some will actually immediately affect your health, affect your focus, affect your emotion and all that. And we will discuss that. So it affects you differently, but the addiction happens in your mind the same way. The same way weed will release dopamine in your blood or in your system, it's the same way gaming releases dopamine. So there isn't different ways of addiction when it comes to your mind. They stick with you and imprison you the same way. So what makes someone an addict? One is urge to use the drug regularly, that you cannot function without what you use. And if it's behavioral, then we are talking about you cannot focus until you do that thing. There are people who will look at their phones a day for more than 500 times. That is, you're getting addicted. It gives you some highness, TikTok, whatever forum gives you that highness of that you would get from weed or from alcohol or from any other type of drug. Then large intake of drugs. What do I mean by this? That I have to use more.
Godfrey, move.
Yes?
Godfrey,
Yes.
like when you move on the slides, can you move to the slide that you're presenting at the moment?
I am there?
Yes. Yeah,
yes, okay. So
you're right.
Just a minute. Yeah, I'm there. Now, I'm talking about you have to take large intake. Basically, I have to use more today than I used yesterday. So if I used one bottle of alcohol to be drunk yesterday, I need 1.5 today to have the same highness that I had yesterday, to have the same dopamine in my system that I had yesterday. So that is how you become an addict, that you have to use more today than yesterday. And tomorrow when it comes, then you will have to use more tomorrow than you used today, so that you can have the same highness. That is how addiction happens. Then intense cravings for the drug regularly. That ni lazima utoe lock, ni lazima. Usipo, then you're not able to function normally. Then spending all the money you have on these drugs or these habits, when it comes to betting, it acts the same way here. That for you to see the value of money, it has to be on that best betting site. So your mind has been addicted to game of chance. And game of chance to the mind tells you the day that you want to quit, it tells you you're almost there. Try one more time. Try one more time. But, to what end? To what end? To many of us, it's to ends that we do not like. They are ugly ends that breaks our hearts and souls and our future. So then thoughts broken, that even telling yourself that this is wrong, you're not able to judge that habit anymore. You have lost it. It has become part of you. You have to make peace with it. Because when you want to stop, that is the time that you cannot stop. And when you had all the energy and the control to stop, you didn't want to stop. Why? It was giving you the highness. But now that you have become an addict, you cannot stop when you want to. So ignoring personal obligation. If it's bathing, taking care of your hygiene, you cannot do that. Why? Because again, the habit has become part of you and it's taking the best out of you. So let's talk about the mind. What happens to the mind? So in our mind, by mind, it's synonymous to brain. So I mean our brain. It has 4 different jobs or responsibility or roles that it plays in our life. One is judgment. For us to be called adults, we have to have the capability to judge in a manner that tells people we understand what we are doing, we understand the consequences, and we choose whatever the consequences that will come after doing whatever we want. So what does any drug or any addiction do to your mind? It actually corrupts your judgment. It corrupts your judgment. So even when you're dirty and you're not able to cope up or keep up with whatever it is that you have been using, you do not see that. Other people tell you, but you do not see it yourself. Where uko sawa. Then speech, you have slurred speech, and that means you're not able to speak normally. It's like now, guys. Let me tell you, it's a slurred speech, and that tells you that your mind is not able to function normally as it should. Then memory, that even if we met with you yesterday, you will not remember. So what happens to our jobs? They take the hit, and our personal growth as well. Why? We do not keep focus. We do not actually remember what we had committed ourselves to do. So by the end of it all, we are not productive at our jobs. We are not able to be as variable as we were when we were being hired. Then the balance. When someone, for example, takes alcohol or any other kind of drug, they will lose their balance. Why? The back of their mind, it's where we get our balance from. So at the back of our brain, if you take a lot of drugs or a lot of alcohol, for example, you lose the balance. And that function again is affected by taking these things. Then let's talk about eating disorders, and we do not talk about them often, but again, it's affecting our people in a big way. So the first, picture that you see there is for a person who is, suffering from anorexia nervosa, sorry. So it's where a person, for example, believes that they will add a lot of weight if they eat. So they actually starve themselves because they do not want to even add 1 gram. For them, they are freaked out, they worry. So what happens is that they are starving themselves almost to death, and they will have dizziness, irregular heartbeat, low blood pressure, poor concentration, focus, shortness of breath, and all others. So this happens again. This is disorders again. They affect a lot of ladies more than gents. Why? It's because of our society and how we have been raised. That ladies need to take care of their bodies more than men, and which is somehow not true. We need to take care of ourselves, all of us, but we give this burden to ladies. Then there is bulimia nervosa, where you intake food or you overeat, and then you feel guilty, so you try to vomit them. You will try to go to the gym, and actually you will push 1 hour, 2 hours, 3, because you're thinking, I have to lose every calorie that came to my body when I ate. Why? Because I do not want to, again, add weight. Then there is binge eating disorder, where you binge eat, you eat a lot. And sometimes this again affects quite a number of people, even in African context. Then let's look at personality disorders. And these disorders, we use them a lot again when we are telling people, for example, they are narcissists. And then when we are telling our boyfriends and our girlfriends, and then sometimes they are not. So they are clustered into 3. Cluster A, you have odd thinking and eccentric behavior. And that is unusual behavior or odd behavior to others. Those are paranoid personalities, schizoid, and schizotypal. I will not go to details what that means, but generally, these are people who will do something and you feel, that is odd. No one does that. So they will portray behaviors that others see odd. They will do something that the others will wonder why they are doing it. Then there is dramatic and erratic. And erratic here stands for inconsistent behavior, unpredictable. They attach and they do not attach. Today they love you, tomorrow they do not. Today they are interested, tomorrow they have fed up. So this is antisocial, borderline, histrionic, and narcissistic, as we call them on a daily basis. We diagnose people with that a lot. So these are people who are dramatic in nature. They will do some things that brings drama to their life. And erratic, that means they're unpredictable. You can't be able to tell where their attention are or what they have committed or not committed to. And there is a cluster C, where you have severe anxiety and fear. So this is avoidant personality, dependent personality, and obsessive and compulsive. Obsessive and compulsive, sometimes the people who will wash their hands again and again and again to get rid of germs. If wanawekanga mswaki, kama imeangalia juu iangalie, uiweke kama imeangalia chini, mtakosana. Issue ukikatia pahali akupasi, mtakosana. They have to do their bed in a certain way. They have to sit in a certain way. Their dressing has to be in a certain way. For example, they will have a hard time wearing a shirt and not tucking in. So these are just abnormal things when it comes to others, but they are very normal to those people. And that doesn't mean really that they are not good enough. There are people who we live with. They are brothers and sisters, only that they will struggle with it. Then, finally, there is PTSD and other traumas. So this PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. And what affects people is four things. There is mood, there is arousal, there is memory, and there is fear. On the mood is that you're highly irritable, you have a lot of mood swings, you're not predictable in terms of your mood. In terms of arousal, it's that you're always on a fight or fight mode. You're waiting for something to happen. If someone was holding something, if it gets off their hands and hit the ground and make a certain sound, you will actually be rattled because you're on a fight or fight mode always. Then there is memory, that there is memory lapse. Sometimes not memory lapse, you're actually remembering some things that do not sit well with you. Maybe something that happened to you, an accident that you experienced, a death of a relative, anything that would affect your memory in such a way that you will keep replaying that event in your mind. And finally, there is fear. You fear whatever happens to you and you're not able to fix it. You fear it. It rattles you and it leaves you with panic and a lot of anxiety. And sometimes it sends you to depression. Now, there is one rule to all this. PTSD and other traumas affect the identity of a person. The core identity of a person is distorted. It tells you a story that you're not good enough. It tells you a story that you're not, capable of delivering anything. It tells you that even though you might be a very good graphic designer and a very good web designer, you cannot deliver. You cannot ask for that meeting with a good company that you know because you do not believe in yourself. So the huge part of PTSD and other traumas, it changes the story in your brain in such a way you will always be a victim of circumstances, that you're not able to choose how you will live and to control the things that you do. You simply have surrendered yourself to fate, for fate to control your life. But you will never be at the center of it. You'll never sit at the driver's seat and control your life as you should, because every breath is an opportunity for us to change and be better. So if we are not able to do that, then we struggle. Then PTSD doesn't come alone. PTSD will be tied to mood disorders. It will be tied to anxiety disorders. It will be tied to drug abuse. And drug abuse normally comes because of either memories, that you're remembering something that it's making you fear, not have sleep, not be able to focus. And many people learn to drugs because, for example, an alcohol is a sedative. So it will give you the highness when you're drinking. But again, when you go to sleep, then you get the low episode of it. It sedates you. So for some people, we will say, I am taking alcohol to forget what is affecting me. But tomorrow when you wake up, you find it right there, waiting for you to wake up, and it starts the day. So the healthier way is to look for support. Then psychosis, then there is personality disorders and others. So other TSLD is other trauma, trauma-related disorders. So what can we do? What can we do, because we have a responsibility over, our mental health? One is doing morning routine. Mental health is closely related to how our body is moving and whether our body has been active. So it's very important to start the day with a bit of activity that will give you that dopamine in your body and will help you to kickstart the day with a bit of energy. So that can be ritual that you hit the gym for you. For others, it's meditation and stretching. For others, it's just having something positive that they will lead, and after leading, they will pray and do something that uplifts their hearts and their spirit. Then breathing exercise. And for example, we can start practice this breathing where you count 5 5 5, and 5 is you breathe in through your nose. You count to 5, then 5 you hold, then another 5 you release your breath using your mouth. What are you doing when you're breathing? You're giving your brain enough oxygen, which relaxes the tension in your muscle. So you also release the tension that is in your muscle. If you have panic attack, then you're able to focus on something else. So in terms of your focus, you're able to show your mind or your fears that you're dealing with. Then the body generally, because it has enough oxygen, you're able to cope up with what you're doing. Then mindful break. This is disconnect from work and take a quick walk. When someone irritates you, it's not a must that you need to respond immediately to them, and it's not a must that you actually even respond to start with. So can you take a walk? Can you just go to a place where you find your peace of mind and find that tranquility that we all desire? Then there is regular exercise, physical exercise that we have talked about, and this goes to combating your stress and staying healthy, because again, the mind cannot function without the rest of the body. So it is up to us to make sure that as we work our bodies, we also work our mind. And as we work our mind, we are not forgetting about the rest of the body. Why? And no organ can function alone in the body. So thank you so much, Elvis, and all of you who attended this session. I really appreciate. My final sentiment before probably I'm given an opportunity to take some questions is that first you need to really stop diagnosing yourself. So I have let me stop sharing a bit. So I am holding a book here called DSM-5, and this is a Bible for psychologists. And if I take this book and start diagnosing myself, and I'm a psychologist who is talking to you, I will come up with more than 5 diagnoses for myself. So what do I mean? Diagnosing yourself will, one, make you fear everything. One day you'll feel you're depressed. The other, you're feeling anxious. The other, you're feeling, like you have panic attack. So the best thing for us to do is to cultivate positive mental health. What we can do is to cultivate positivity and to be in tune with ourselves. And to be in tune with ourselves is knowing, where am I at emotionally? How can I improve myself? How can I do something, one thing that will improve my mental health today? Improve my relationship with me first before I deal with any other person. You're either the best friend to yourself or the best enemy to yourself. So if you do not cultivate a mindset that works for you, if you do not cultivate a relationship with yourself that helps you tackle the day, then it's going to be very hard. So let's refrain from diagnosing ourselves every time, and cultivate positive mental health practices that will take us places. So Elvis, do I have your permission to answer a few questions?
Yes, yes, of course you do.
All right, all right.
All
So
right.
there is someone here who has asked, how does one deal with anxiety when about to make very serious life decisions? So anxiety comes as a result of two things. One, there is an external demand and there is an internal capacity. So you come from the mentality that you do not have enough capacity to handle the external demand that you might have, Christine. So by that, then you are anxious that what you're about to do, you might not be capable enough to handle it. So and that's how we start experiencing anxiety. So the one thing that you need to do is, for example, there is something we ask ourselves when we are in therapy. It's called Socratic questioning. For example, I have a job interview tomorrow and I'm not feeling very well prepared. So I will ask myself, am I familiar with the job that I applied for? Do I have the right skill? Yes, I do. Am I familiar with the organization that I was looking or I am looking forward to have an interview with? Yes, I have looked for their profile and their website, and I have a bit of information. So am I prepared in terms of the content or the question that might be asked? Yes. So why do I feel anxious? So what you're doing is you're following the Socratic thinking and asking yourself, where is my anxiety coming from? So it's when you say just anxiety, then you're not able to tackle it. But when you cascade it down to, let me follow that anxiety to the root cause, then you're able to really know what is making me anxious. And when you know that, even yourself without any external help, you're able to calm your nerve knowing, can I now control what I am feeling? And is my thinking and my feeling true or false? Because again, our mind can lie to us. Our mind always sometimes lies to us on a daily basis. So we have to be very cautious of what we are thinking and where anxiety is coming from. Some people say over excitement is anxiety. What do you think, and what is your say on that? Over excitement. Okay. There are people who will actually be overexcited or smile to you when you ask a question, but they're hiding their emotions. There are people who will do that, but not everyone. So it depends whether the person who is excited is just being themselves, or it's hiding, their emotions through that. And especially people who have gone through trauma and they carry shame around, then they will have an issue with that, where they smile, and even when they are smiling, they are not actually cautious of it. They have tailored a way of life around that, so that they can hide their feelings from others. When everyone tells you you are always in fear, does this tell that it's anxiety, that everyone is just staring from the roof? When everyone tells you you are always in fear, and you tell that it's anxiety. Yeah, sometimes not. It might be something unrelated, because again, people will misunderstand us sometimes. We actually rush to judge people than we want to understand them. We judge them first. You judge your neighbor, you judge your sister, you judge your brother, you judge your colleague, but you do not know the root cause of it. But if that is what you have been told and you feel some bit of anxiety, it's very important that you know, okay, where is my anxiety coming from? And when you know that, even when you're seeking therapy, coaching, or any other support, then you know, what am I looking for? And how can I be able to go around my anxiety? How do I deal with anxiety? Because on me, they come like waves. And most of the time when I am experiencing this kind change or become melody, how can I deal with this? Now, guys, there are people who suffer from anxiety, but actually they have suffered from anxiety or depression for so long that it has become chronic for them. So, one, when you overstay somewhere, your mind, again, some people here, I know you did or you took a program with Elvis, that is 5 a.m. And one of the key things that the writer talks about is how our mind forms habits. And also, if you have read a book by James Clear by the name Atomic Habits, or any other book related to habits, you know how habits are formed. So when your mind overstays in one habit, that place is called home for your mind. It's the safest place. If I hold this book, if I have held this book from birth, and someone tells me all of a sudden that, Godfrey, you need to let this book go, I will have a challenge of making the book go. Why? This is all I know. If I know that if I let it go, then I will not have anything to hold on to. So it becomes an anchor for me. So some emotions can become an anchor for you in that you're not able to operate past that. It has become a new home for you. And you need to inculcate behaviors that will set you to a new level and a new ground for growth. Because if you're not intentional about it, then you remember the cycle that we have gone through, that you're switching from anxiety to depression and back to anxiety and then panic attack. Then that will happen. Why? Because these behaviors have become or have found a new home for you. So then another one asks, can someone develop social anxiety disorder? Yes, a lot of people have social anxiety disorder. And these are people who will say they give a room a salute of honor. And a salute of honor means I have to check all the windows where they are, and I have to check all the exits. And they have to sit at the end of the benches if they are using the bench, or close to the exit. Why? Because anything can happen for them. They do not want to be in crowded places. So yes, a lot of people suffer from that. How do you deal with panic attack? Again, breathing, then counting backwards. It's also something that we do. You can start, saying 1, 2, 3. I do not have to use my cognitive or conscious mind. I am using my subconscious mind to do that. But if you tell me to do 99, 98, 97, I have to focus. I have to focus. So those are some of the things that you can do. Then breathing, that I have already talked about. It's something that can help you. Then there is something we call muscle relaxation technique. You can Google it. It's in the Google. You can see it somewhere, where you're able to ease up the tension around your muscle as you breathe, because oxygen is fuel to our brain. Someone assists mood disorder, eating disorder, personality disorder. Okay, if you need assistance, then you can reach out via that number. Text me, call me. I will be able to advise. If I am not able to see you, I will, have someone else support you. Then I avoided my courage apart from work. I go home, I avoid alcohol completely. I experience different sleeping patterns. Is that depression? Victor, you can reach out and we check whether that might be depression. Now, but yes, some symptoms are there, but I would want to dig deeper and then make sure that it's depression. I do not want to diagnose you in a manner that may not be very good. So how can you deal dismissive avoidance? So if your partner is, for example, dismissive avoidant, that is their attachment. That is how they know how to attach. So dismissive avoidance, they are telling you, in other words, I can survive without you. I can do this without you. They cannot attach and show you that I am at your mercy. No, they have to show you that you actually need me more than I need you. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because I use this word a lot. People change if they want to. People do not change because you want them to change you want them to change for you. So people will only change if they actually want to change, not because of you. And if you look at your life, you have only changed the things you're interested to change, not the things that someone else told you to change. How can, no, that I have answered. Then someone who had that book about habit development, kindly share. Okay, I hope someone will help you there. My problem is public speaking and facing crowds. I tremble and my voice shaken. How can I avoid it? One, preparing for your topic. You have to be very familiar with your slides. Don't leave them. Don't depend on the slides you're presenting or what you're saying, but be very okay. Then probably visiting the room or the facility that you'll be doing the training or speaking. Whether they also depend whether people are familiar with you or not. And then some people are actually more afraid with unfamiliar people. So you want to make sure that probably one person is in that room that you know, and that if you're using the projector, then you know how to use it, that you're not learning that day. You're very familiar with the system. So just to make sure that you're very well equipped in terms of the content. Then pausing, use a lot of pauses in your speech. If you veer off and you can hear, my goodness, I am running away, my goodness, I am not coherent anymore, then pauses help. Just pause, then recorrect yourself and continue. Then thank you, Elvis and Godfrey, appreciate you, thank you. Buruna. Then you've described symptoms of a colleague. How can someone amateur do help someone depressed? Okay, let me cover that question with another question I have seen about supporting people when it comes to mental health. So let me start with the lectures we give people. We give them long lectures about how they are missing the point or how they are messing up their lives, because to our knowledge, we are not messing our lives that they are like they are doing. So we feel like we hold more moral authority than them. But we stop at that and we do not actually tell ourselves, probably it's because of the pain that they are here. Probably it's because they are not able to cope up and they are hiding themselves with alcohol or any other drug addiction as a result of coping with pain that they think no one can understand them or support them. So how do you support them? One, show care. Be empathetic with those people. Yes, I am not telling you not to hold them accountable. Please hold them accountable. But again, do not judge them. Do not point a finger, because tomorrow something might happen and it affects you in a very big way. And you might end up where they are. In my time, I have been in Madari for 4 months. And one of the things I noticed is I dealt with principals, I dealt with high school teachers, I dealt with policemen, I dealt with accountants, I dealt with economists. So every kind of a person is there. So did they choose to be there living, or are they people like us? So empathy. Then use a lot of I statements. Do not tell them you did this, you did that. When you use you, I am pointing a finger, I am blaming. But when I use I, that I am concerned about you, and I feel that this and this has been happening in your life. So how can I be of support to you? So that person doesn't feel attacked. That person doesn't feel, demonized. They feel that this person is someone who cares. When you use I, you're putting me on a fright or on a defense mode. That because you have attacked me, then I have to protect myself from you. So using I statements, then I care and I would want to know how to support you. But not because you always get drunk, you actually think a 40-year-old man or woman cannot be able to tell that they are ruining their lives. They can. Deep down, they do actually. They know very well. So do not demonize them more than they are demonizing themselves. So let's be our brother's keeper. Hold them accountable, but with love. So how about overcoming shyness? Again, it goes with what I said for panic attack and anxiety. They are quite related. So for me, I think social disorder at some point is important, as precaution measures must be observed, and I agree. Sorry again, how can I reach you, sir? Okay, I will share my contact. My contact is 0718 110011, 0718 11 0011. 0718 11 0011. Now, how much do you charge for consultation? It depends on what. And for me, I do coaching and therapy. So for just normal mental health issues, I charge 3,000. Which include, seeing you for more than an hour if necessary, because again, we are dealing with a lot of companies that are just giving people 1 hour and they're not able to invest in you. So for me, I say your success is just next to mine. If you do not succeed, I have not succeeded in empowering you. So those are my charges just for the normal issues. Then if you want me to work with you on any other issue, then you can reach me and we are able to discuss. Sometimes I find myself talking alone. What could that be? Okay. Talking alone, sometimes people call it a disorder, but I do not, especially if you're not talking about bad stuff or saying some things that are not coherent. If they are not coherent, then you may need some help to just make sure that you're all right and that there is nothing. Kindly stop calling right now. Just text, then call me tomorrow. Then, so talking alone is not as bad, and it can't be diagnosed as a disorder. But when it's not coherent, and by coherent I mean, does it make sense and meaning? Sense and meaning. So if it doesn't do those two, you just talk and you even wonder to yourself what you're saying. You might need some consultation. I have an anxiety, panic attack, low self-esteem. How can I manage? Yes, that I have explained. Ending up, I have developed a bit. Okay, I have developed a habit of not preparing eating supper by myself, ending up sleeping hungry for days. Is that a form of depression? Okay, if you're ending up hungry, and for sure you are hungry and you wanted to eat, but you can't be able to prepare yourself something, that might be signaling you're not emotionally okay, and that might be leading you astray and in a place that you will struggle. So you need to check that. If it gets help, then please reach out to me or any other person. For me, I do not charge for consultation. You can call me for free for about 15 minutes, and I am able to explain what I do, and possibly you will be able to explain to me where you are at and how I can support you. So that I do not charge. Then Elvis, I do not know whether I am past time or I can answer to.
I think you can answer 2 questions and then we are done.
Okay, good enough.
All
Thank you, sir.
right.
Um, I get to relationships waiting for a guy to hurt or frustrate me. I sabotage. Yes, there are people who attach like that, that you actually, foresee you being hurt, even if there is no sign, absolutely zero sign. But your mind is telling you, if I wait, this guy is going to hurt me. So you sabotage your relationship. Yes, again, that is a problem of how the attachment style, if you have read about attachment style, and probably it has something also to do with your personality as a person. And, sometimes it comes as a result of trauma. If in your raising, someone abandoned you, or someone was not very responsible of you, or would attach and detach at the same time without giving you warning. So your mind grew with that you grew in that in your mind, that I need to protect myself. And to protect yourself, you interpret it as, ending a relationship before it gets anywhere, because you believe you'll be hurt. So it's an issue that can be fixed, and a lot of people come to therapy for that. So then, procrastination, a mental issue. How do I overcome it? Yes, it's a mental issue, but it's not as a big issue. One is that you need to set timelines and say, for example, if you look at your phone a lot, you can have that as a reward and say, I will have to finish this before I do an activity that I actually enjoy doing. So by that, you'll be committing to something up to an end. So again, about this book, Atomic Habit, it talks about having a reward system. Yes, a cue and triggers and all that, but also having a reward system that keeps your focus going. So, for example, if it's TikTok, you always find yourself there. Say, I have to engage 2 clients before I move and start watching TikTok videos for the next 10 minutes. So by that, you're actually encouraging yourself to be committed. So it's impossible to share book here. Ask on Telegram server. Discuss the facts about tattooing being addictive and side effect on mental health. Now, tattooing has been considered as one of the things that can actually signify you have a mental health issue. Let me explain why. Not everyone who has a tattoo is actually having a mental health issue. Some just go to beautify themselves, which is okay. But if you are doing tattooing because you enjoy the pain that comes with you being, done that procedure, so you feel a lot of pain on your skin and you actually enjoy that, then you're not different with someone who has been biting themselves, cutting themselves, because can you actually imagine, again, that pain to some people actually gives them dopamine, a feel-good hormone. So to some people, they have been addicted to that they have tattooed all their bodies. They can't even tell you what they have drawn. Why? Because they actually enjoy the process, not what is being done on their body. So you need to be careful. If you are tattooing because you enjoy pain, you need to rethink it. You need to rethink it. So there was a hand up that I had hoped I would end with. I think it was Susan. I don't know. I think she has gone. But thank you so much. I was having some issues some time back, and I want, yeah, if you are being tattooed to feel good, then please do not do that, because it will never give you that highness that you're looking for. So, Asanteni Sana, if there is no more question, I need to end there. Thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate, even if you might not end up in my office or interacting with me and you're in need, you can call our number. I won't charge you for 10 minutes if I can be of help. I am here to serve. And I actually feel very happy when one person is able to enjoy their lives. Vincent, I will end with your question. Are you able to talk? Okay.
Hello, sir.
Hello,
Now
Mercy.
that yeah. Now that Vincent was not able to talk, I think I could ask my question at this juncture. So my question was, how do I differentiate between anxiety and imposter syndrome? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mercy. So those two are quite different. Anxiety is, again, having a demand that you do not feel like you have the capacity to meet. So you're fearing whatever it is that you're facing. You're fearing something bad will happen. Now, imposter syndrome is a feeling like you're lying to people. You're not good enough. Like, I can appear here and feel like what I am telling you is not true. I am not capable of delivering that information. So I am having a conversation with my mind and I am concluding that I am not good enough. So I feel like I am, just talking here and calling myself a psychologist, but deep down, I do not feel like. So imposter syndrome is you're judging yourself. You're having a conversation with yourself and you're thinking you're actually alive. You have assumed a personality that it isn't yours. Now, anxiety is something different. A demand outside that you do not have the capacity to meet. There is this job that I am expecting to deliver, but I am fearing that I do not have the capacity to deliver it. Then that is anxiety. But imposter is I am actually telling myself this personality that I wear every morning, it's not me. I just wear it, but it's not real me. So that is the difference. And I hope that, Mercy, that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate.
Awesome. Asante sana to everyone who gave me the attention and time. May you thrive in every area that you engage with. And I wish you the very best. May you keep your mental wellness alive and well, because that carries you, and that carries the personality that you have And for you to be good at anything, you have to be okay with yourself, and you have to be okay with your environment and others. But the most important is yourself. If you can't look at yourself in the mirror and be a good friend to yourself, then possibly something needs to change in your life. But otherwise, asante Elvis for the opportunity. Possibly we will have many more engagements, but I really appreciate you. Asante.
All right, all right. Thank you so much for being part of this session, Godfrey. Asante, nashukuru sana. And I think we need to give him a round of applause for what he's actually shared, because it's quite meaningful, and I think all of us should take it seriously. Yeah? I'm really happy. So if in any case you have some questions for Godfrey, I think you can actually reach out to him and talk to him, because yes, one thing is very important is that you need to take care of your mental health. So all I can say, Godfrey, is thank you for shedding more light on mental health. It's very important for us to get proper mental health advocacy, and thank you for being a champion of mental wellness and mindful practices. They really make sense. So in as much as we say that we are fit and we are doing well physically, it's also very important for you to be working well mentally. And without anything much further, I would actually just like to say that we are concluding our session, and a recorded version of this session is available, so I'll be sharing it with you guys. But remember that your mental health is one of the most important things that you can consider in your life. So I'll end the session at that point and just say that let's all take care of our mental health. In other words, you can reach out to Godfrey thereafter and talk to him if you have an issue. All right, if you have an issue. And yeah, so thank you again, guys, for being part of it. And thank you so much, Godfrey, for being part of this particular session and really championing for the importance of mental health. So in any case, take care of your mental health. Thank you again. So have a good night, guys, and thank you, Godfrey, again. Asante.
Asante sana. Good night.
Bye.